talking today to Tunde Kelani, who is a Nigerian filmmaker who has been making films for over 40 years, almost predating Nollywood. Tunde, tell me about your latest film, MAAMi.
MAAMi is an adaptation of Professor Femi Osofison's novel of the same title. And it's a love story, a bond between a single mother, parent, and this 10-year-old boy. And this story, takes place within 2 days, a day before the boy's 10th birthday. And the boy had asked for a birthday present from the mother. And he innocently asked for meat, that the mother should just cook meat as part of his meal, because he was so poor and he hadn't eaten meat for some time, and the mother was devastated. She was so poor, there was no money, and she was really disappointed because she thought it was obvious that this boy should know what she's going through to raise him. And anyway, they quarreled and they made up, and within a day they tried to get meat for the boy. And
the boy also wants to know who his father is.
Well, he wanted to know. You see, he didn't care at first. Then they went to the market, and they were lucky because some people donated everything they needed for a birthday party: meat, rice, and everything, bread. And they left the market with 2 baskets. And on the way home, something happened on the way, and the boy knew he had a father. He wanted to meet the father. But unfortunately, at the end of the story, none of these things got home with them. They lost everything, but they found each other. And the boy had discovered that he doesn't need a father, he doesn't need meat, he doesn't need a birthday. All he needed would be his mother. So it's this relationship between, mother
and son. And when was the film released?
The film was sort of partially released in 2010 because we told a parallel story. Nigeria had qualified to play in the World Cup, and I wanted to document that we took part in this soccer event that took place on African soil for the first time. And I knew that Nigeria was not going to win the cup. But then I felt it was important to document that we played. And we were able to combine the 2 stories in our adaptation. And the Nigerian soccer star arrived in Nigeria. He played for Arsenal, and then he's arrived to go to the camp to play for Nigeria. And he had a television interview, and we were able to tell the story of the boy and the mother. So it was released in 2010. I'd hoped that it would be released, before the World Cup, but it wasn't done. And I even started production. But in any case, it came in handy because it was screened as part of the Nigerian cultural content at the Olympics. Because if you remove the football story, then you still have sports. And the film was able to make the point that with sports and education, you had a chance of making it in life.
And you were telling me earlier you've got 3 projects on the go for your next films, and depending on where finance comes from, one or other of them will make it through. Describe briefly to me each of those 3 projects.
I'm fascinated by literature and cinema. I seem to have found the connection earlier in my career, the connection between literature and cinema. And I've done a lot of adaptations. And the 3 of them are adaptations. One is a love story, but it's a sickle cell story, which is a health theme, that would further enlighten people about sickle cell.
It's a disease that affects black people.
Yes, this is essentially a black people disease or ailment. And it's not just, it's entertaining, as well. And it's adapted from Yinka Ibokare, a lady wrote this novel of the same title called Dazzling Mirage. And it's going to, the language of the film is going to be in English, and I work more indigenous language of Yoruba. and I would have to placate the Yoruba audience who don't want me working in English at all. And I would do a Femi Osofison's adaptation of Wuraola, which is essentially
for a Yoruba film.
Yoruba. It will be Yoruba, but then it will be, it's a story about our concept of adoption in a marital relationship. And after that, I would want to do Cordelia, which is again written by Femi Osofison, and is set, against one of Nigeria's popular military coup. So those are the projects
that you have in hand.
I have in hand immediately. But again, anything can happen. A project might just burst by the side. The thing is to be ready.
All of these stories involve women. You seem to be interested in telling the story of.
I think it's not conscious on my part that I have always done strong female positive characters, and consciously or unconsciously. It probably have been maybe because I was separated from my mother at the age of 5 when my father decided that I was going to be raised in our hometown, Abeokuta, about 120 kilometers away from Lagos. And I was the first child to go, and I missed my mother every day. And the house, it worked, because as soon as I was able to read and write in the Yoruba language, I just went after books. I read everything I came in contact with.
And how have you funded MAAMi?
Well, I was lucky because I had been, my previous film, Aruba, had been pirated, destroyed by pirates. And I was devastated. There was no way I could raise any more money. I was down. But I was supported by the Lagos state government, who funded in MAAMi, and that's why today I'll be grateful to the governor of Lagos State, Governor Fashola, who supported me and raised me up again, because obviously
because he believed in the film.
He believed in the film, and he believed in me, and I was able to, I made another film because I could have taken the money, I could have run, but I think it's worth it.
Yes.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be here for the African 2012 festival. The film is going to be screened in Hackney Picture House, and then on
here
Saturday,
in London,
here in London at the British Film Institute on Saturday afternoon.
And so, for your new film projects, where will you be raising the money?
I was hopeful that by now I would find a buyer for MAAMi, and then I could use the money as, the backbone of the production. Of course, I will find other, funding, but the important thing is, I would want to get on with it myself, and then make a case. So if I could find support, so I'm really hopeful, because I don't have any income from MAAMi because of the lack of infrastructure. There are not many cinemas in Nigeria, and piracy has stopped us from releasing any new films. I'm sure the film will be pirated within 24 hours. So for now, MAAMi, is there. There's no income coming in, but I need to move on. See, that's why I'm trying to find other forms to continue. If I found a buyer for MAAMi, that will come in really handy.
Given these rather pessimistic circumstances you describe in terms of how it's possible to get income from making films, what's the likely future of Nollywood?
I think Nollywood is on the upbeat, because there has been a lot of attention, and government is really responding, because the industry sprang from private enterprise, people who, aided by rapid advancement in technology, are able to tell a story in a private enterprise, an industry of some sort, was born without the infrastructural and institutional support. And the government lately has been giving some small support to the industry, but it's too small if you compare this with other industries like oil and gas, for instance, where millions of dollars have gone into, if you know, the whole process of how do you say, first of all, exploration,
producing the oil,
producing the oil rigs, then the upstream, downstream activities, which is you couldn't expect Nollywood on its own steam to start earning, for the country. It needed to be supported more, and so on. So I can see this, increasing this kind of support and awareness. And corporate Nigeria might support the industry, and in time, Nollywood is here to stay. It's evolving, and therefore I am sure that both the government, corporate Nigeria, Nigerians, and Africans are not going to give up, and there's going to be inflow of investment, especially when more cinemas, come on stream. And so there's no way I think that the Nollywood will boom.
A last question. People are, in the main, outside of Nigeria and outside of Africa, fairly dismissive of Nollywood and fairly critical of its quality. How have you found the reception of your film? Because your film is really, in a way, very different to the standard Nollywood film.
Yes, there are many more films. You see, the Nollywood films generally now, they are quite acceptable everywhere. And there's in the beginning, Nollywood films were invited to festivals from point of curiosity. Now it's just like Nigerian soccer or Nigerian football, and it will be incomplete. A global football event will be incomplete without Nigeria's participation. The same thing is happening to Nollywood. Everywhere, all over the world, there is constant, regular programming for Nigerian films. And the concept of Nollywood has gone even beyond Nigeria. It's gone almost continental, because when you say, I won't be surprised, for instance, if the new African cinema is called African Wood or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Because apparently the term Nollywood has extended beyond Nigeria itself. Films from Africa are now being generally referred to as Nollywood. So it's gone beyond.
Sure.
It's not in infancy.
Yeah.
Within a few years, Nollywood has really...
And it's spread across the globe. To places like the Caribbean.
In quality and standard.
Yeah.
And there is a new Nollywood films that can stand side by side with global cinema.
Tunde, thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.